Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm so glad you're here. I am trying to catch up on older movies where I posted my written review on moviereviewmom.com and now trying to catch up doing the actual video review. So this came out a few months ago. That's how far behind I am. But this is a good one. And I wanted to let you know about it because I'm sure it flew under the radar and you probably never even heard of this movie, but it was so well done. It needs to have more eyeballs on it. So, the name of the movie I'm reviewing is called Remember This. This very dramatic film is now available on streaming. It's rated R and is an hour and 35 minutes long. My movie review mom grade is an A. I just thought it was so well done. So let me tell you about it. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines, interesting lines, and recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that I think you'll really like. All right. So, in a nutshell, in a virtuoso solo performance, Academy Award nominee David Strathairn portrays Jan Karski in this genre-defying true story of a reluctant World War II hero and Holocaust witness. Now, David Strathairn has been in Nomadland, Good Night, and Good Luck, and Lincoln, all critically acclaimed films. So that alone should pique your curiosity. So after surviving the devastation of the Blitzkrieg, Karski swears allegiance to the Polish underground and risks his life to carry the first eyewitness reports of war-torn Poland to the Western world and ultimately the Oval Office, escaping a Gestapo prison, bearing witness to the despair of the Warsaw Ghetto, and confronted by the inhumanity of a death camp. Karski endures unspeakable mental anguish and physical torture to stand tall in the halls of power and speak the truth. Strathairn captures the complexity and legacy of this self-described insignificant little man whose timely story of moral courage and individual responsibility can still shake the conscience of the world. And would you say this movie is timely given what's still going on over there in Europe and above? Yeah. The film takes a bold, elegant, and expressionistic approach to cinematically transform the original stage play on which Remember This is based and to provide an intense and intimate theatricality rarely experienced on the big screen. A minimalist visual aesthetic and the simplicity of the space, a table and two chairs, that's it, shot in black and white, captures Strathairn's dynamic one-man performance in all of its nuance and power as he not only becomes Jan Karski, but channels over 30 characters from Karski's extraordinary life, filmed in the shooting style of a continuous shot. I love those. The audience is drawn into Karski's world and memories and invited to experience the journey along with him, as though Jan Karski is speaking directly to all of us across time, space, and history. Now, that was the description that the studio sent me when they gave me the press release. And I just thought, well, I'm not going to say all that, but it said it so well. But let me point out some of the things that I really liked about this movie. First of all, solo performances have always impressed me. David Strathairn is a wonder. I hope he's nominated for an Oscar in this stellar performance. Now, because it's the type of movie that it is, I think a lot of people aren't going to watch it or be interested, but it's fascinating. We see a video clip of the real Jan Karski that is just heartbreaking. It kind of during the movie and then at the end as well. This powerful film asks important and soul-searching questions such as, what is your responsibility as an individual, especially in wartime? I like what the director did to keep the scenes interesting through his use of light, props, and movement. It just boggles my mind that the Holocaust actually happened, We can never forget. We must always remember so the history doesn't repeat itself. And so I love the title of this movie, Always Remember. It's fascinating to learn about Jan Karski, who was a Polish World War II resistance fighter and diplomat. Born in 1914 in Lutz, Poland, he was a member of the Polish underground and served as a courier of sorts between the Polish government in exile and resistance groups in occupied Poland. He was one of the very first people to report on the Holocaust and the extermination of Jews in Nazi occupied Europe to the Allied governments. We should know his name, and yet I had never heard of it before. In 1942, Karski was tasked by the Polish government to provide eyewitness accounts of the atrocities being committed against Jews and other minority groups. So he met with British and American government officials and presented his testimony, but was met with skepticism and disbelief. I mean, why would people believe all of the crazy, insane things that he told them that really did happen? Despite this, he continued to work for the Polish resistance and was eventually captured by the Gestapo in 1944. He escaped, though, from the train, bound for a concentration camp, and made his way back to England. After the war, Karski emigrated to the United States and became a professor at the Georgetown University, where he taught courses on political science and ethics. Wouldn't that have been amazing to actually be in a class taught by someone like that? He wrote several books, including Story of a Secret State, which is a memoir of his experiences as a courier during the war. So Jan Karski was widely recognized for his efforts to raise awareness about the Holocaust and was honored with numerous awards and accolades, and rightly so, including the highest civilian honors from Poland and Israel and the United States. He died in the year 2000, but his legacy as a witness to the horrors of the Holocaust and a champion of human rights continues to inspire people around the world. All right, now with that praise, let me say a very small, short list of things that I didn't like or thought could have been done better. And really, it's one thing. And that is that not all viewers enjoy artsy fartsy films like this. If you give it a chance, I think you will be richly rewarded with a powerful performance and some truly important questions that we must all answer as a society. So let me give you some tips for parents. Kids are going to be bored. It's one guy talking on a stage. Torture and other atrocities are mentioned. A man strips down to his underwear at one point, but it's done very respectfully and perfectly, I might add. Some of the themes that are illustrated beautifully are choice and accountability, World War II, of course, murder and genocide, humanity, politics, history, standing against evil, and just courage. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines to share them with you. I have them all in my written review at moviereviewmom.com. But when I looked at my notes, I realized I didn't write down any funny lines. This is a serious drama, but I wrote down quite a few interesting lines. So for example, Jan, again, played by David Stratham, says, human beings have an infinite capacity to ignore things that are not convenient. Wow, that sure is an understatement, and true, of course. And then another thing that he says is governments have no souls. Individuals have souls, even though governments are made up by individuals. And so I thought that was really important. And he showed us that through standing up for what is right, he was able to help recoup some of that lost soul that was destroyed during the war. And then another line, he says, this sin will haunt humanity through the end of time. And that's an understatement as well. Again, it's just unbelievably mind-boggling that the Holocaust ever happened. All right, so I wanted to point you to 3 movies that I instantly thought of simply because they're about World War II, and they're 3 of my favorites. They're so powerful. The first one is Schindler's List. And it's a classic. It won so many awards. In fact, I believe it won Best Picture of the year that it came out. Another one is called Sophie's Choice that came out, it seems, near the same time. And then, well, I don't know, time flies so fast. I'm getting confused on the timeline of movies. But out of those three, I think this last one is the more recent. It's called Life is Beautiful. Now, it features a little boy. And when I watched this in the theater with my husband, I had a son who was the same age as this little boy in the movie. And I was just bawling by the end of the movie. And we had to sit there. My husband had to sit there and wait for me to kind of dry up and be able to leave. It was that powerful. And when we saw it in the theater, they knew that people were going to be in that condition. And so they took a long time before they brought up the house lights, which I definitely appreciated, so I could try to regain my composure. It's that powerful. And that's one of my favorite World War II movies. I have several. I just am so fascinated by that time period, and probably because it had such a clear good versus evil, such a clear villain versus everybody else. And it's such a complicated war across the entire globe. Anyway, so even though this is an older movie that came out a few months ago, definitely give it a check if this sounds interesting to you. I think that you'll really enjoy it, and comment down below if you do watch it. All right, have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.